Bienvenidos. Hoy vamos a dar una actividad muy especial de Colombo IdeaLab Present. Hoy vamos a hacer algo bien especial en familia. Vamos a hacer mascarillas de Star Wars. Entonces, queremos invitar a todas las personas, sus familias, mamás, papás, hijos, a celebrar esta semana de May the 4th haciendo su propia mascarilla para mostrar su amor para Star Wars. Esta es una actividad que vamos a hacer en inglés para que puedan practicar el inglés con nosotras. Aquí estoy con Lorena y ella y yo, las dos, vamos a estar haciendo una mascarilla decorativa de Star Wars. Entonces, síganos, estamos muy contentos de tenerles con nosotros y esperamos que puedan mostrar su chévere mascarilla de Star Wars. Vamos a tener una actividad después de hacer su mascarilla. Sacan la foto, la postean y ahora abajo vamos a decir el hashtag para que nosotros podamos ver su producto y si no estoy mal, tenemos un regalo para una mejor mascarilla. Entonces les invitamos a sacar toda la creatividad para hacer su mascarilla de Star Wars. Bueno, bienvenidos. Hagamos el inicio de la actividad. ¿Te parece? Sí. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is decide what design you're going to make. So you can print out your design, and you can also print out words that you can trace onto your pattern. So that is the first thing that you need to have, your pattern. You also need to have the pattern for your face mask, and you can download this from our website. And so this is the pattern for the face mask. To make the face mask, you need fabric, and it could be a white fabric, or it could be black, or blue, or any color fabric you would like to work with. You need a scissors to cut your fabric, and you need a pencil or a pen in order to trace your pattern onto the fabric. Okay, after you have your pattern traced onto the fabric, you need to have some paints or some Sharpies and some paint brushes in order to make your wonderful design. After you have the design painted, then you need to sew your project. And that's the fun part, when you can start sewing it and then you can be ready to wear it. Okay, so those are the materials that we need. We're going to start by cutting out the pattern to make the face mask. So take your scissors and choose the size that you want. I want a medium, so I'm just going to cut out my pattern so that I can make my face mask. Now, I think it's important to point out that these face masks are decorative. They are not going to protect you from any illness. So if you do wear one of these face masks, you should wear it with a medical face mask underneath it to make sure that you're protected. So this is our pattern, and now we can take our fabric, and this is the part that could be a little bit confusing. You can see here the instructions. It says cut on fold. So that means this line here, right here, is going to be on a fold of the fabric. So you're going to take your fabric and you're going to fold it, and you're going to place, you're going to place your pattern on the fabric, and you can trace it. tracing the outline of the face mask. Okay, and now you can see I've got this nice outline. And so now with my scissors, I'll just cut it. And so remember that this fold has to stay there. So we're going to leave the fold exactly as it is. And we're going to cut the fabric into the shape of the face mask. Okay, so don't need that anymore. Throw that away, and so now we have the face mask. Okay, the small triangle is for the top. It's for the part that goes here on your nose, and the big triangle is for the part that goes under your chin. Okay, so as you're drawing your design, make sure you draw the design the correct way up. I'm not going to sew it yet. I'm going to paint first. I'm going to draw my design and paint first, and then I'll sew it after I'm done painting. So I'm going to turn this around so that it's my way up. And I've decided that I want to do C3PO. So I'm going to do this little design. As you can see from these models, there's different ways of doing the design. You can do it right in the middle, where the entire figure is on the face mask. You could do it on the side, so that part of the mask is with an image, and then you can write some words on the other side. If you want, you can write words right in the middle. There's lots of ways that you can do these wonderful face masks to make them really decorative. Here's another one with lightsabers on either side, so you can show everybody what a fan you are of Star Wars. Here's the Death Star. And here's our friends in the Rebel Alliance. May the Force be with you. We definitely want the Force to be with us as we're making these beautiful face masks. Here is the galaxy that we're celebrating with Star Wars. If we prefer the bad guys, we can make a design of a bad guy. And so Yoda is definitely a favorite of all of us. So I'm going to do C3PO. And the way I'm going to do it, oh, he's kind of small. I'm going to have to draw him. One way that you can do it is simply trace the outline of the figure through the fabric. You can see it. If you're working with a dark fabric, I see that Lorena is working with a very dark fabric, so she's going to have to do one of two things. You can make it like a stencil, where you cut out a hole and then you can draw onto the fabric, or you can take that piece of stencil and put it on your face mask. I'm going to try to do this by hand in order to make a 3PO that's a little bit bigger than the 3PO here on my design. So let's see here, 3PO has his round head. And he comes down to this point by his chin. And on the other side of his head. He's got his ears over here. And he has his chin. And he has his eyes. Okay, first this line down the middle of his face. His mouth line. Lorena, what design are you doing? Yoda, he's another favorite. Yeah, another one of the good guys. I like the good guys. Okay, my 3PO looks a little bit funny. He's a little bit short. But I think everyone will recognize him as 3PO. Okay. So I have that, and on the other side here, I'm going to put some words. I want to put Star Wars because I like Star Wars. So I've got Star Wars, so I'm going to trace it over here. Now I'm going to use my Sharpie and I'm going to trace it right away. I'm writing Star Wars. Did you know that you can go online and you can download fonts for your computer with the letters of Star Wars? So you can print out anything that you want using the type font of Star Wars. That's what I did in order to print these things. I downloaded the font package and downloaded them into my computer. Okay, there's Star. I need to get the wars. Are you going to write any words on yours, or are you just going to have Yoda? Yes, so you're teaching people that they need to keep a distance in order to protect themselves. Very good. And wear the mask. With the protective mask underneath it. Remember, this isn't a medical mask. This is a decorative mask. Okay, so I have my outline of Star Wars, and I'll fill that in later because I want to start working on 3PO. Okay. 3PO is kind of gold colored, right? So I don't have gold, but I do have a really nice yellow. Okay, now I have a yellow that's a little bit more yellow. And so I'm gonna paint 3PO. And then I'll do maybe some shading or some outlining once I have the painting done. Now, if you're a real artist, you can do anything that you want with these masks. You can make something truly beautiful. But as you can see here, I'm not an artist, but I really enjoy doing this. It's fun. And so, it may not be beautiful, but it's fun to do. And I can enjoy it during the May 4th week. I'm going to take my big black Sharpie, and now I'm going to draw. I'll start with his ears. He definitely looks like a droid. There's no way that you would mistake him for a person. Okay, now he's starting to look more like 3PO, definitely. He needed the black part. Okay, so if you don't have a Sharpie, you can use paint for this. Or any black marker. Okay, look, there's 3PO. He looks pretty good. He's a little bit crooked, but he looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to fill in the Star Wars. I'm just going to use my Sharpie here and fill in the Star Wars so that it's all dark.
You know, I think this is so typical, but I have to say the very first movie, and it's not so much because of the movie, but because of all of the emotions that were part of that. My family would go to theater together. My mom, my dad, my brother, and I would go to a theater, a movie theater, and I remember we were watching some movie, and at the beginning of the movie, you know, they show credits of, or, you know, what are they called? Clips, trailers of different movies. And so they showed a trailer of Star Wars. And I remember just being amazed. I was maybe 9 or 10 years old. And in the trailer, it was that first scene where that great big the cruiser, the whatever it's called, comes over the screen. And then, you know, the shooting. It was so amazing that my brother and I were just amazed, and we said, we can't wait until this movie comes out. And when we did go to the first showing of that, we went to that same theater, and it was a place that you could pay once, and you could stay there all day long. And so my family went, my mom, my dad, my brother, and I, and we stayed and we watched it twice. And just the emotion of the movie was just so amazing. And so that's why I like the first one, not so much for the movie, but because of the emotion of being there when it first came out. Okay, now we're going to start sewing our face mask. Now 3PO is still a little bit wet, so I'm going to put a piece of fabric over him because I don't want him to stain. And what you're going to do is you're going to fold the face mask in half with the drawing on the inside. And what we're going to do is we're going to sew these openings here at the top and at the bottom. So I've got my thread, and I'm just going to sew. Now, if you have a sewing machine, you can do this too by your sewing machine, but you can also do it by hand. And so you just stitch along the edge to close that hole. Now I'm going to go back and do that again, just to make sure that it doesn't fall apart. So I'm going to go and sew over the same stitches. Okay, now I need to make a knot, because if I just cut it, it might come apart. So I'm going to make a knot with the same fabric, or with the same thread. So you just make a loop and bring your needle through it, and there you have a knot. And you cut that. I'm going to put a knot at the end of my string again. And because my fabric is so thin, I need to have a really big knot. So there's my knot. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom. This is the big V, which is the bottom part of the face mask. So I will sew. Okay, and again, I'll go back over what I've already sewed, give it a second set of stitches to make sure it stays. Tie a knot at the end, make sure it doesn't come out. So I need to make another knot in my string because I'm going to sew some more. So one more knot. Now, so you can see We have the basic shape of the face mask. But now what we need to do is add the loops that go behind your knees, behind your ears, so that it doesn't fall off your face. So what we're going to do is, I've got some pins here. I'm going to hold the end over. I'm going to pin it so that it doesn't slide away from me as I'm sewing. Now if you want, you can make it a little bit more organized, and you can sew the edges, hem the edges, but I'm not going to do that right now because it's going to take too much time. Or if you want, like in this case, I made a full lining. I sewed this one with my sewing machine, but this one is actually 2 layers. So it's got the decorative outside layer and it has a protective inside layer. So this one I can actually wear in order to protect myself from the virus, because it has 2 layers of cotton. So this one would be okay to use to protect myself from the virus, but this one, no. This one is simply decorative. It still smells like paint. Very decorative, so you would have to wear a medical mask underneath that one. Okay, now on this one, the reason I folded it like this is because I want to leave a space inside of there in order to put my string so that I can put it behind my ears. So I'm making like a tunnel here inside the fabric. I folded it 2 times, yeah. And so then I'm just going to sew the edge. As you can see, I'm going to sew that, just the edge, to make that tunnel for that string to go through. Okay, so I'm done making my first tunnel. I'm going to tie another knot to make sure that it doesn't come apart. And I'll cut the string. I'm going to tie one more knot in my string. Lots of knots today. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So on this side now I have the place where I'm going to put my string, and on the other side I'll do exactly the same thing. So I'll fold it over once, twice, I'll put in my pin, and I'll sew. So I have the place on one side for the string, and I've got a place on the other side. Let's pin out. I like to use yarn for this. Some people use elastic. We have got different cases here. This is sort of a una cinta. We've got a cord. But I really like using string because it's really soft. It doesn't hurt your ears. And so I've discovered that it's about the length from my hand to my elbow. So that's what I need for the 2 of them, and then I'll just cut them in half. And so that's the length for my earpieces. Now I have this really cool thing that I bought in the United States. I don't know if you can buy it here, but if you can see, it's got a little hook at the end. Now you don't need to have this. If you don't have it, you can use a paper clip or a safety pin. But the way this works is you stick it through the tunnel and see it comes out the other end. And then I can catch my string, my yarn, and I pull it through, and ta-da! It went through very easily. But as I said, you can use a paper clip, you can use a safety pin, and to do that, I don't actually have a safety pin here, but you tie your string to the safety pin or to the paper clip, and then you just push it through the channel, the tunnel that you've made. But yeah, I really like to use this thing because it's so easy and fast. And so I catch my string and I pull it through, and that's it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just tie these, and you can make them any length that you want. So this is good for people of different sizes, so you just tie it and tie the other side. And you have a Star Wars face mask. Very decorative. Remember, this isn't a medically approved face mask. This is a face mask that's purely decorative. So what we're going to do is we're going to put on our medical face mask first, and then we can put our decorative Star Wars face mask over the top. And so then you can celebrate May the 4th week being completely safe and protecting yourself from the elements. Thank you very much.